Hey all, Cybro Live here, and I'm here to talk about FlameVSBlaze. It's a new MOBA coming out by Square Enix in the fall that is currently in closed beta. I was one of the people invited to said closed beta, and I've been playing a ton of it, once it is available, of course, because right now it is only going to be available for about a week, and in each of those weeks it's only available for 4 total hours, ranging from 9 o'clock EST, which is my time, to 1 o'clock in the morning EST for people in the East Coast. So it's 4 hours, and 2 of those hours are ranked hours. So 10 o'clock to what would be 12 o'clock are ranked hours where you're allowed to play in the game's ranked mode. So now I want to go ahead and touch upon several things in the game that are both good and bad, and my overall thoughts on the game. So right now, I played the full amount for the 3 days that have already elapsed. So I've played around 12 hours of the game. I have to say that this game is actually a lot of fun. It takes a unique style from the MOBA category and makes it its own. So by taking the idea that MOBAs are generally about team fighting and battling your opponent, that actually is done extremely well in this game due to the fact that they take a lot less focus off of farming minions, a lot less focus off of taking objectives, and put it more on the PvP side of things and trying to level up and gain an item advantage. As you can see on the screen right there, and I apologize for the little blur, it is mobile screenshots, so taken from my cell phone, because it is a mobile game only right now. I'm not sure if they have any thoughts of porting it over to a PC platform, though I have high doubts that they would. I feel like this will be a lot more successful on the mobile platform anyway. So you're allowed to have different cards that you can equip with, and as you go into the game, you get to alter and change your deck as you see fit. You'll have one main card and then 3 sub cards. The sub cards will activate based on the level that you achieve in the game itself. So if you're level 3, some items will activate if you're level 5, if you're level 7, if you're level 9, etc. Each one has different parameters that you have to follow, and you'll be able to see them if you go into your deck edit, and you'll see which cards activate at certain levels, which cards activate at certain times. And then on your main card, you'll have a card that's going to be flippable that has activated abilities when you choose to flip them. Sometimes it gives you more power, sometimes more soul, sometimes it's going to make you faster, it gives your team healing, etc. It's a wide range of things. So personally, I feel like the combat aspect of the game is actually very strong. So you're going into this game, it's 3v3 battling, and you have obviously basic attacking that you would get by clicking on an enemy or tapping on an enemy in this case. And you'll have 3 abilities to choose from, as well as a mode shift. So before I get into the abilities, let's talk briefly about mode shifting. Mode shifting completely changes the character's aesthetic, changing the character from looking one way to a complete different looking character. And it also changes the abilities that they use, which I think is a very welcome change. You don't have to be stuck playing this one character one type of way. Each of these mode shifts actually changes the character and how you'll play them. Sometimes you'll have a character, let's take Hound for example. Hound is a character that I personally like to play. And the way Hound is played is in his main form, he has a AoE stun. He also has a dodge roll, which also empowers his allies around him if he lands next to them with more movement speed. And then he also has his ultimate, where he drops a set of barrels that he shoots and explodes them, that also knocks enemies back. In his mode shift, he still maintains the AoE stun, where it's what is called freeze. However, his other abilities change. So his second ability, rather than being the dodge roll, it's a dash, and it's an empowered dash that does damage to enemies in a line. And then his ultimate changes to, he pops up the grate that you would have on the bottom that goes to a sewer, goes into it and jumps up to a targeted location and in a circle shoots enemies down. That is actually a really nice change, and it changes the way you have to play the character. Whereas in the main mode, Hound is more along the lines of, I'm going to help peel for my team and I'm going to try and set some kills up. The second mode, which you can see there, that's Hound's second form in the picture right there. The second form is mostly about PvP and, okay, I'm going to get into this and I'm going to get right into the action. I'm going to try and get some kills here. So having that mode shift, I think, is a very welcome change, and the difference in abilities between each of the characters is very distinct. You're not going to have characters that basically do the same thing. Everybody has very unique abilities and functions in very unique ways, which I find a very welcome change. In pretty much every MOBA, though, you're going to be finding these characters that play very similarly, or they're very close to being similar, but not quite. In this game, everybody is very distinct, and that stands out to me in my eyes as a MOBA player, because you're not going to be playing a character that you can say, you know what, I can play Hound, I can probably play Q, I can probably play Aragami just fine the exact same way. It's not going to work like that. You're going to be playing these characters, and the more you play them, the better you're going to get at them, but you're only going to be getting better at that one particular character. Which I find is like, it encourages you to play more. It encourages you to play the new characters, or agents as they are in this game, and it forces you to really actually learn the game. Instead of, oh, I'm going to play this character that's basically like this other 6 characters, so I could play these other 6 characters if I want to, but I could just play this one instead. It makes no sense to me. You can see on the screens there, you do have a battle history as well. I very much like keeping track of my statistics as I go in, and you can see I've gotten MVP quite a few times playing Aragami. Personally, just a little thing here, Square, little thing. Aragami's a little strong. A little strong. The fact that he can disperse damage done in his main form is very strong and a little bit too OP for my taste. As you can see, I could easily abuse him and climb. I climbed for the ranked tournament that's happening right now for the closed beta. I climbed to 7th in the ladder. I would have climbed higher, but I didn't play enough. I feel like I could have gotten first. I definitely could have gotten first, actually, if I had just kept playing Aragami. I think I've won 16 out of my 18 ranked games, which I'm pretty proud of. I am happy with that kind of number. Looking at the way this game plays out, though, the matches last anywhere between 7 to 10 minutes, depending on how well you do. In the game, it says, oh, matches could last anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And it's like, I have not experienced that length of a game yet. Mostly because generally when the reactors spawn, you're going to have everybody going there, and it's not going to last too much longer after that point. And speak of the devil, I got a notification from FVSB. $2,000 in prizes are up for grabs in the ranked battle riches tournament. I'm going to be doing this in a little bit. Yeah. I want me some money! Anyway. So let's talk about the way the game actually does play out. In the first 5 to 7 minutes of the game, you're going to be gathering resources, which in this case is basically going to be mana. So mana reactors will spawn every now and again. Mana reactors are going to be spawned at the beginning of the game, where you're going to be trying to feed them energy and feed them more mana. You're going to have points that pop up on the map that will give you bursts of mana, as well as killing any enemies, or rather opposing agents, will also give you mana as well. However, you're going to be having along the map a huge variety of jungle monsters. You're going to have kobolds, wolves, and I call them bulls. I actually don't know what they're officially called, but I'm just going to call them bulls. So wolves, bulls, and kobolds. Kobolds, if you stack 3 of them, they become kobold kings, which are stronger units. And every unit you kill from the wolves and kobolds starts to follow you and serves as basically like an allied creature. And oh, actually, you can see here on this screen, this is the mode shift for Dahlia. You can see her main picture on the bottom line, and then the picture up on the top left is her alternate picture, which is her mode shift, which changes her abilities. So this is an example as to what you can expect from this game as far as, oh, hey, this is how they change. They change visually, and they change as far as how they function. But back to what I was saying, you are able to control all of these monsters, or to a certain extent. They'll target whatever you target. Bulls, on the other hand, they'll go ahead and target the next objective. So at the beginning of the game, before the reactors start fighting each other, you're going to be having to kill the opposing team's mana plants. So whenever you kill a bull, it's going to immediately go towards the next mana plant that needs to be destroyed and start attacking it. It'll take time for a mana plant to be destroyed. However, obviously if you take enough bulls, or if you go up to fight the mana plant yourself, you will be able to go ahead and take it down, which does deal damage to the reactor that takes less HP, or less damage to kill as the game progresses. So now, progressing forward from the monsters, when it comes down to the agents, it is a 3v3 with a 10-second respawn timer, which I don't believe the respawn timer changes. I think it's 10% or 10 seconds across the board, which I like. It means that the games are going to be consistently intense. You're not going to be having some weird lulls in the battle where somebody is just not respawned, so nothing is just going on here, which I find to be very boring whenever I see a MOBA just kind of dispersed because no one's alive. Everybody's going to be doing something. There's always going to be fighting, and I personally find that very invigorating for this kind of style game. And when everybody fights the reactors have their own abilities and special attacks as well. You're not allowed to control them, but you're going to be seeing indicators on the map that will show where the attacks are going to be going. Obviously, if the opposing reactor is charging an attack, you're going to want to move out of that designated area because it'll hurt quite a bit. It does about 75% of your HP in one hit, and that's a pretty hefty amount. And it's a little hard to run away if you're going to be trying to stay alive there and avoid being taken down. So, a couple of things. I'm going to go ahead and just wrap this up a little bit here. This is just kind of a first impressions. I want to introduce a little bit of people to FlameVSBlaze and talk about it. And I'm going to be doing some more footage gathering for FlameVSBlaze now that I know that even though we are in closed beta, we are able to go ahead and collect footage and post footage. I'm going to be going ahead and doing that as well. A couple of things that are great and a couple of things that are bad. And I don't mean bad in like, oh, this is going to make me not want to play the game. This is necessarily things that can be fixed, and it's minor. Yeah, that's probably the best way to say that. So, things that are good. The scratch card system. I like the scratch card system because it encourages people to play more, bet more energy at the beginning of every round, and on top of that, the fact that it basically gives you free gear. It's a literal scratch card like you would for a lottery, and you have a chance of getting Midas, which is the in-game currency, and you have a chance of getting an item. Depending on the card that you have, it'll be a different kind of item. So they have armor, soul, power, and random. So you'll be getting one of those 4 style cards. And there's obviously different rarities for different cards, and you'll be basically getting, depending on what kind of card you have, a certain type of item. I very much like the scratch card system. I think it is a great way to be able to constantly be giving people new cards, and it means that you're going to have a nice wide variety of different decks that you'll see going into the game in the future. Right now, there's only a select few cards that are being used because of their strength. However, I imagine in the future they're going to be adding more. Secondly, another good thing about this game is the overall visual aesthetic. It's designed by the same people who designed The World Ends With You, a game that I personally love. I absolutely love The World Ends With You, and the fact that they take a lot of visual key elements from that and use it in this game. Specifically, one character looks very similar to Neku from The World Ends With You. You can actually see him there, Baza, on the screen. He actually, visually in-game, looks like Neku in some aspects. I think that is awesome. It's just a nice nod to people like me who love The World Ends With You, which is just a phenomenal game. And I believe that the producer for this game is also the producer for Kingdom Hearts UX, which is another mobile game. And together, I think they've done a phenomenal job. Especially being in a closed beta, it's very advanced for what it is now. And third, I'd have to say the overall roster is very nice. It's structured in a way that it's not too many characters that you're going to be bogged down and trying to learn everybody. And it's also done in a way that with these characters, there's enough variety that you're not going to get bored. There's not too little, there's not too many. But now comes a couple of issues. Like I said before, these are minor issues, and these are just things I want to touch upon. Issue number 1, sometimes the menus function a little bit slowly. Again, hardware issue. However, I do have an iPhone 7 Plus, and I would expect this game to function a little bit better on my device. Second, in-game, sometimes the frame rate could be a little bit choppy. And it depends on what's happening in-game. What I've noticed is that the more I play, and the longer the game goes on, the less choppy it becomes. I'm assuming this is because of backloading times, and the fact that it's trying to get all this data from 6 different points at the same time. That's obviously something that could be worked on. This is in closed beta after all, and I'm sure that it's going to be cleared up in the future. And third, Aragami, the character. The agent is too strong. He's able to basically dominate the early game if you're able to get to level 3 while anyone else is level 2. You can solo or 1v2 pretty much anybody. It is a little bit ridiculous because you shouldn't be able to do that right off the bat. And if you build them the way I do, where early game I'm going to have a lot of pierce damage, and on top of that I'm going to have damage increase because of my item choices, it's a little busted because nobody could do anything to me. And on top of that, I could change the amount, I could disperse my damage for my monsters to tank a little bit for me instead of myself. So on top of that, I have huge amounts of survivability, huge amounts of damage, and it scales up depending on how many monsters I have following me. So it just makes me that much stronger if I farm the jungle enough and just immediately go for a duel. So I feel like he needs to be tweaked just a tad. That way, it doesn't feel like we're going to be facing an opponent that's just going to completely mess us up at the beginning of the game and make it very difficult to come back. I will say this though, the chances of coming back in this game are very strong, as you can see also right here. I was facing a couple of Square Enix opponents. They all suffered my wrath. oh, what? That is weird. I am blending into the background there. Anyway. I will say that there are chances to come back in this game. As you can see in this particular screenshot here, we were actually down 6 kills, and we still ended up winning because we focused on the reactor as opposed to focusing on PvP. And we were able to go ahead and take a victory off of that. And on the flip side here, as you can see, we were able to win both the PvP and the reactor matchup because we focused on PvP, shut them down enough that they can't fight us, and then we focused on the reactor. So there's a lot of ways to play this game, and a lot of ways to win this game and to get yourself back from behind. And I personally find that this game is going to definitely be one to look out for as far as the mobile game market is concerned. I think it's going to be a definite contender to games like Vainglory and Mobile Legends. And I personally will be playing this more than either of the other two due to the fact that the visual aesthetic is very pleasing. And on top of that, I'm having an absolute blast playing this game, and I want to see more of it. So here's to FlameVSBlaze coming out in this fall, currently in closed beta. I believe the invitations are still open on their website. You can go ahead and check at FlameVSBlaze on Twitter, and I will be coming back with more FlameVSBlaze footage as well as discussion points regarding the game later on. I'm CyberOwlLive. You can follow me at CyberOwlLive on Twitter as well as Instagram and Facebook. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys do end up playing or at least watching some footage from FlameVSBlaze.